on the next episode of Quarantine with Lavell, where we will be talking to special guest Latisha Johnson, who's running for Detroit City Council District 4. Latisha was born and raised in Detroit, graduated from Detroit Public High Schools, and has been serving District 4 for over 14 years. She is the founder and current chair of the Mecca Development Corporation and provided more than 100 families with free household and personal items, as well as raising over $220,000 to support local residents through various programs. You do not want to miss this episode, so get your questions ready and join us on Thursday, June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Neal Down Productions Facebook group page, as well as the Neal Down Productions YouTube channel. Make sure you tune in, spread the word, and we'll see you on the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Quarantined with Lavell. I am excited. I got a couple of announcements to make, and then we're going to jump right in with our special guest, Latisha Johnson, who's running for Detroit City Council District 4, and we're going to have a great conversation with her. But listen, before I do my shout-outs, I just want to say, you may be tuning in and saying, well, I don't live in Detroit, so I don't need to watch this episode. But I think you do, because you're going to learn some things from my special guest tonight that whatever district you live in, of whatever city, of whatever state, that you can ask those who represent you. So make sure you stay tuned. We are going to have a lot of fun today. So first and foremost, I thank God. I give God all the glory, honor, and praise for this amazing platform that he has blessed me with. And I thank God for you all faithfully watching the show, tuning in, sharing it out. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Now listen, if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up button there. I know that's not the YouTube one, but that's what I had. So, but yeah, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up button there, and then also share it out. Hit that share button. Send someone the link so that they can tune in. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button on Facebook as well. We want to make sure we get as many likes as possible and getting as many people tuning in as absolutely possible. We want to get the word out. So make sure you tune in. So again, I give God all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. Amen. As a matter of fact, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this episode, God. We pray that you would bless us tonight, that you would bless Mrs. Johnson. Let her spill her heart out to us tonight. so that we can know where she stands and that we can vote for her and support her in the name of Jesus. Bless this broadcast. And Lord, we ask for no technical difficulties. Let everything flow smoothly. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. Now, of course, I have to give a shout out to this lovely lady right here. That is my wife, LaKenya, letting me know that things are sounding good. So definitely want to shout out for her, always helping out, always praying with me, always supporting me, helping me come up with the questions, pick the guests and everything. So thank God for her. Also, my wonderful son who just turned 9 months old. It is amazing literally watching this young man grow. And as I always say, go back to the August 20th episode of last year. He was born on a day that we did the show, and we went live from the hospital. You got a chance to see a little sneak peek of him when he was 9 hours old, and now he's 9 months old. So go back and take a look at that episode. Also, got to give a shout out to my mother. Thank God for her and everything that she has instilled in me. Thank God for my mother in love. Thank God for her always supporting, always pushing. Thank God for my Uncle Neal and my Auntie Linda. They are always supporting, always watching, always sharing it out. And everyone, every single one of you who shares out the show, who watches the show, I truly appreciate you. On behalf of myself, my wife, and Neal Down Productions, we thank God for you. All right, listen, our sponsor last month, as you all know, was Crystal Elam and her amazing play, No More Consequences. Cycles 2, No More Consequences. Now, listen, the show was last week, but I want to make sure that you know that you can still get virtual tickets. They recorded the play, and they are going to be showing the play virtually this weekend, Friday and Saturday only. The tickets are $27.50. It's for your household. So make sure that you email her. Let me put her email up real quick so that you can know. So the name of the play is No More Cycles 2 Consequences. And the virtual tickets are still available for tomorrow and Saturday. That's June 4th and June 5th. And to get tickets, you can email Crystal Elam Productions at gmail.com. That's Crystal Elam Productions at gmail.com to make sure that you get tickets for this amazing play.
No More Cycles, the stage play, written and directed by Crystal Elam. 3 women struggle with going through the tests and trials of life, but only God can deliver them and break these cycles. Also, No More Cycles 2, the stage play, May 27th through 29th, coming to Victory Harvest Church, 20855 West 13 Mile Road, Beverly Hills, Michigan, 48025.
Stay in your place! You the third chick! Hey! Know your role!
Someone on the bishop board saw y'all with another man till 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, what was you doing with this man? Woman, haven't I been good to you?
A percentage of all proceeds will go towards Victory Harvest Church Building Fund. Live tickets $25, virtual tickets $27.50 on Eventbrite.com. Visit nomorecycles2.eventbrite.com. May 27th through 29th. On the 27th and 28th, 7 p.m. On the 29th, 5 p.m. KE Productions presents No More Cycles 2, the stage play.
Yes. So make sure that you get those virtual tickets. Again, the play was last week. I haven't talked to her, so I'm sure it went phenomenal, the live versions, but they recorded it, and they are going to be showing them virtually just 2 days, Friday and Saturday. So you can get those tickets by emailing her at crystalelamproductions@gmail.com. My wife and I are going to be watching it tomorrow. My mom is going to be watching it tomorrow, so we are excited about it. So I wanted to make sure that I gave that shout out. All right. So listen, our next guest is someone that I have known for quite a few years. And what many of you don't know is that we actually work together. downtown at the Renaissance Center. We worked together for a few years, and I believe she worked in sales or whatnot. But I got a chance to watch her and see her tenacity and her dedication. So when I found out she was running for office, I know 4 years ago she ran. We supported her, and she's running again this time, and we are definitely supporting her. So please help me welcome my very special guest, Mrs. Latisha Johnson. Latisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lavell. I'm really delighted to be here with you.
Awesome. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad for you and so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just exciting to even know you. How about that? I know everything that you're doing, so I appreciate that.
Oh, wow. Praise God. Thank God. All right, listen, I have a few questions for you, but I wanted to make sure that I made that announcement to our audience that if you're watching and you're not from Detroit, you may be from a different state, a different city somewhere else, you're going to learn some things tonight that you should be asking your representatives, and then we're going to open it up at the end for some questions. So my neighbor of all my life, Miss Sandy is watching. She actually put a question in, but I'm going to save those questions until the end. I'll remember that she's there. But I know when you were getting the petition filled out, guess who knocked on my door? Miss Sandy. She said, Lavell, you got to sign this petition. And when I saw your name, I was like, yes, absolutely. I know Latisha. So awesome. Thank God.
I love her.
Sandy.
Yes. She's amazing. And
Really
extremely supportive. So I appreciate her and so many others who did that for me. But yeah, we'll get into that.
All right, awesome. So my first question to my guests is always just tell us a little bit about yourself, and I said it before. I always used to feel awkward asking that question. Like, that's kind of an awkward question, but I had Dr. Sabrina on, and Dr. Sabrina said, well, I think it's a great question. Who can tell people more about me than me? So
right.
It changed my perspective. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into a few more of these questions that I have.
You say a little bit. Good gosh. I feel like, I've been living a long time, although a lot of people think I'm younger than I am.
All right.
But I'm a native Detroiter, grew up on the east side. Well, we moved on the east side when I was 8 years old. I've been here ever since. Went to all my neighborhood schools, went to Chandler Elementary School when we first moved east, Burroughs Middle School, and then graduated from Kettering High School. I went on. So there are 8 of us. So I have 7 sisters and brothers. A lot of them pretend that I'm their oldest sister, but I'm the middle child. I am the middle child. I adore all of my siblings, and I appreciate the support that they've given me along the way. I actually went to the University of Michigan to get a degree in finance. I started out with a chemical engineering major when I went to U of M in Ann Arbor, and then ultimately ended up getting my degree in finance.
All right.
And, the interesting thing about that is every summer throughout high school, when I was at Kettering, my science teacher actually enrolled me into a program, the program in scholarly research. And I went there every summer, worked with a chemistry and a chemical engineering professor. And so ended up doing science fairs throughout the country. And so when it was time to go to college, that was the only college I applied to, was the University of Michigan, because I had been there throughout the summers and, had gotten acclimated to the campus and knew some professors who could help guide and support me through my journey, because I was the first in my family to go to college and get a college degree.
Wow.
After that, I was working, I was working for Franco, a PR agency in Detroit, did that for 5 years, made some successes there, and then moved on to the Convention and Visitors Bureau here in Detroit. Okay. And moved into several positions there. Ultimately was a sales manager working with national conventions to bring them to Detroit. And I think it was after that, after I left, that I realized just how important those positions are with the Convention Bureau, just helping to maintain the hospitality and tourism industry in Detroit, So afterwards, that's when you and I met. Well, I was probably at the convention bureau when we met because we spent a lot of time over at the Marriott hosting clients and things. And so when I left the convention bureau, I went over to the Marriott doing sales specifically for the hotel. So it was when the Marriott went through a reorganization that I said, okay, it's time for me to retire, right? so I ended up leaving. I was just engaged. I had just gotten engaged right around that time, and shortly after got married and inherited my son. And so I said, you know what, this is the perfect time for me to take some time off from work to really delve into being a mother. And what ended up happening is I had been serving on the board of my neighborhood association, and everything just kind of went from there. In the last 14 years are almost a little blur, but we'll talk in greater detail about the last 14 years. But so that's who I am in a nutshell, and I'm here today, running for city council.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. My mom graduated from Kettering as well, and she was the first in our family to get a college degree. So
wow,
that really inspired me to and help push me along as well. So yes, awesome. All right, so it sounds like you kind of touched on this a little bit, but the next question was, what made you want to go into politics? So you kind of hinted at it just a little bit, just kind of watching what was going on, but go ahead, just tell us a little bit about what made you want to be into politics.
And that's a really interesting question, because I can't necessarily say that it was myself. It was really doing the work on the ground in the neighborhoods, and just everybody looks at me as one of the problem solvers in the community. So a lot of people call me about different issues that they're dealing with, like, okay, if anybody knows, Latisha knows. And so I've become that person in the neighborhood. So 4 years ago, one of my neighbors actually reached out to me and said, Latisha, I think you need to start preparing to run for office.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was that conversation that I had with him that said, okay, well, maybe, I have been doing the work on the ground in the community. And so how about doing it on a greater level and being able to help more people, and really being able to address, some deep-rooted issues that we face in our community. So that's what it was.
Wow. So it sounds like you I always say this as a minister, you do the work first. You don't just say, oh, I want to be a minister, and then somebody makes you a minister, and then you start doing the work.
Right.
You start doing the work first. And it sounds like, as far as politics and helping people, you were already doing it, and then the mantle just kind of fell on you, like, yeah, this is something that I need to do on a greater level. That's awesome.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it comes from just being connected with your elected officials in doing the work on the ground. And so, a lot of people will look to you because you've provided that leadership. And so they say, okay, wait a minute, maybe she needs to move into an elected position to help on a larger scale.
Okay. Wow. All right. So now this next question, it may be a little redundant, which is, where and how did you develop your love for the city of Detroit? But you kind of hinted at, you were born here, you went to school here, your feet were on the ground, but just tell us a little bit about the love that you have for this city.
You know what? So yeah, just being a native of Detroit, I think we have some level of pride that comes from that, and the grit, the grind that we all are used to, the resiliency of Detroiters. And for me, believe it or not, I really was able to develop that love and that passion for the city when I started working for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, because it was in, I believe, 2000 that I started working there. And that was before a lot of the development was taking place downtown.
Okay.
And so you really had to have tough skin. You had to be able to show people a different side of Detroit, because at that time we were being bashed at every turn in the national media. So I was able to, and always wanted to share with people my story, having come from a very low income household and just being able to go to the University of Michigan and having that guidance and support, being able to tell people, what life was like when I was growing up in the neighborhoods, because even though we were in poverty, I never felt that way. I always felt the love. I always felt the support from neighbors, because that's when, it was really that village and everybody looked out for one another and took care of one another. So the love started developing there, but then going to work for the Convention Bureau, it was being able to share that, being able to tell those stories and really helping people to get a different perspective of life in Detroit, because a lot of it was so focused on crime and the city being the number one city with the highest crime year after year. So it was insightful. It helped me to develop my love for Detroit, but it also helped me to tell my story so that people would gain a different perspective of Detroit.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, can you all imagine working for the Convention Bureau, trying to get groups to have their functions here when Detroit is like in the top, what was it, the top 3?
It was either number 1 or number 2.
With the greatest murder rate in the country.
Exactly.
So that had to be rough. So definitely shout out to the Bureau. Larry Alexander was our general manager at the hotel when I first started. When I first started back in the 90s. And Brian Walker was actually my boss. He was a banquet manager at the hotel. So yeah, these are people that work for the Bureau, and I can imagine it was a tough job. And I mean, even now with things starting to pick up in the city, it's still not an easy sale, especially when you have people saying, well, we can go to Florida or we can go to California and have our event, but definitely shout out to you. And I can see how that would help to develop that love that you have for the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you have done several things already. So I saw on your card that you founded Mecca, MECCA. So tell us a little bit about Mecca and exactly what that is. Then it said that you had raised almost $250,000 to support Detroit residents. And then something else you did was you provided over 100 families with household supplies and personal items through something called the Community Closet. So tell us about those 3 things and anything else that you want to tell us about Mecca, you raising the $250,000 and the 100 families that you were able to support.
So I'd love to start from me being on the board of the East English Village Neighborhood Association, because that's really where I got started in doing community work in this neighborhood. Okay. So I think I had been in my house for 2 years, and a neighbor of mine, I think I may have gone to just a few neighborhood association meetings. And one day he nominated me to become the vice president on the board. Wow. And so for me, I love a challenge. I've always loved a challenge. And so I took him up on it and became the vice president. Well, a couple years into it was when the housing market decline happened. And, we have beautiful brick houses in the neighborhood, and things just changed dramatically very quickly. And I can remember you being able to buy a house in the neighborhood for $12,000 or $15,000. So I said, okay, as a vice president, I really didn't have a role, is what I was told. So I said, I'm going to take that challenge on and see what I can do to help maintain the stability of our neighborhood. So I went through the process. I created a little template for all of our block captains, because I worked with them at the time. We had over 50 block captains. I worked with them and created a process as a way for them to be able to hold the financial institutions accountable for the houses that they owned in our neighborhood, because unfortunately, a lot of people were walking away from their property. But I said, you know what? These financial institutions who had a mortgage on these properties, they still are vested in this neighborhood and in this house. So created this process, created an email template for all of our block captains to use where they were just holding people accountable, holding these financial institutions accountable, making sure that the property management companies were keeping the house secure and making sure that nobody came in and stripped the house, right? That was probably 2010, 2009, 2010. Fast forward to today, and we just recently sold a house in this neighborhood for $270,000.
Wow.
Now, I won't take all the credit for it because I just created, the process for my neighbors to be able to go through to hold folks accountable. But if we had not done that, then, a lot of properties may have fallen into decay, continue to sit and rot, and who knows where things would have been. Well, now, after being on the board there for 7 years, during that time, we just kept talking about what can we as neighbors do to help maintain the stability of our neighborhood. That's how Mecca was born. Mecca was born out of those conversations. So Mecca actually stands for Morningside, East English Village, and Cornerstone Village Community Advocates. We're all neighbors from those 3 neighborhoods who have come together and said, how do we as neighbors help support our neighbors? So very early on, we identified collectively the areas that we needed to focus on. And those areas are workforce development, residential development, seniors, and youth. So we do work in all of those spaces. When we first started, completely grassroots organization. We didn't even have money to apply for our 501c3, but there were a group of us who went out and blexed houses. We took pictures of houses and identified the condition of the houses. And that's where we ended up getting a grant for $800 to be able to apply for our 501c3. Came together with the neighbors and we identified those 4 areas. So we said, okay, how do we even get started? So many of the board members were like, well, who's going to give us money to do anything, right? And I went through the process to get my grant writing certification from Wayne County Community College. I cannot stress the value and importance in that enough for anybody that's starting a 501c3 organization. So I understood that it would take time, that you have to crawl before you walk and start in these organizations. So I would just, kind of dabble a little bit, get my feet wet. And then eventually we started getting grant dollars coming into the organization to be able to do different projects. So one of the things that we have done now, I think this is our 6th or 7th year. I believe it may be our 7th year because we started early on. Workforce development wise, we said, okay, how do we start to provide skill building opportunities for people? We started teaching people how to reupholster furniture.
Wow.
And if you know anything about reupholstering furniture, it is a very lucrative opportunity. You don't need to have a college degree. You don't need to have a high school diploma. As long as you are willing to learn the trade and do the work, you can really make a good living doing it.
Wow.
So we started that. We've been doing it for 7 years. Not every year, but probably over the last 3 years, we've added additional skill building programs. So in 2019, we added a 12-week home improvement workshop. We've added sewing. This year, we're adding photography. We had jewelry making last year as well. And so we just continue to build because, I always think about what my grant writing instructor said was, just make steady progress. So we have done that. And in the midst of doing the home improvement workshop, we were able to actually buy a small house in Cornerstone Village where we had the ability to rehab it, teach people how to do the rehab work, and then have them giving back to the community by doing pro bono service projects for low-income households, for seniors, or what have you. But really, as a way for us to continue giving back to the community. So we now own 2 houses, and we're looking at having our home improvement workshop again this year. We didn't do it last year because of COVID-19. So I'm really excited about that because it can help people to learn how to maintain their own house and also help to give back to others in the community.
Wow.
We also, so you mentioned the community closet.
Mm-hmm.
Our focus has always been reaching individuals in the neighborhoods who don't typically come to neighborhood association meetings, who may be within our neighborhoods, who are trying to figure things out. And we want to have some direct connection with them to understand what it is that they're going through, to understand what their needs are so that we can help facilitate and address those needs. So the community closet was a way to connect with people to be able to do that, to start understanding their individual needs so we can address them as a community. And so we developed a relationship with Bed Bath & Beyond, and they donate, Bed Bath & Beyond and Walmart, actually, they donate all of the items that we have. And to me, it feels like you're walking into a small Bed Bath & Beyond store.
Wow.
I tell folks, you know, to come in, to take advantage of it. We have various categories of need because we know if you're a student, if you're on fixed income, if you're low income, if you've dealt with domestic violence and you're a survivor, you know, we want to help you get back on your feet. So there are probably 7 or 8 need categories that we've identified to be able to help give back to these families, because we want them to be able to utilize their financial resources to pay their rent, to pay their utility bills, and to be able to stay in our neighborhood.
All right. You know, I'm going to try to save the questions to the end, but Miss Sandy did ask this question: do you have to live in the area, or can anyone go to the workshops, and is there a fee?
So we like to do everything for Eastsiders. So because you know there are limited programs on the East Side, so we want to make sure that we are servicing folks that live on the East Side. And so this year we will definitely not charge people for the various programs that we're doing because of the pandemic. Typically, we charge a nominal fee just to make sure that the person's going to come. So you know, we're not holding space for someone who decides they're not coming for whatever reason. We want them to have some skin in the game too. Yeah.
All right, cool. Miss Sandy does have another question, but I'm going to save that one until the end. So real quick, and let me just say, for those of you all who don't live on the East Side, you need to get on your district reps to get some programs going like we got going over here on the East Side.
Well, you know what, Lavell, let me tell you, there are several organizations on the West Side that offer the same services as well.
Nice. All right. So y'all not left out, West Siders. So real quick, let me ask you this. What District 4, what is District 4? What covers or encompasses District 4?
So District 4 goes from the West Side is pretty much East Warren and McClellan area.
Okay.
The South Side is the river close to Jefferson Chalmers. So the entire Jefferson Chalmers, if you know, Jefferson North Assembly Plant, JNAP as we call it, that area. And then it moves to the Harper Woods border, so near St. John Hospital. Okay. And then it goes up to 7 Mile and Gratiot and Gratiot and Connor, Gratiot and Gungston area.
Okay.
So it's pretty large.
It is. Wow. Awesome. Okay. All right. So before I'm going to ask you some questions about your platform. But before I do, so I have this question here. In your opinion, what is the state of the city of Detroit, and how do you plan to help? And then I'm going to ask you a couple more specific questions after that. But just kind of in general, what is the state of the city, and what can you do to help?
So I think the city is in a progressive motion, if you will. I think, you know, a lot of people see the development that's happening, a lot of development happening and has happened downtown. One of the things that I personally want to see more of is progress in District 4.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've lived in 5 areas throughout District 4.
Okay.
3 of the houses that I used to live in no longer exist. We've seen a lot of demolitions throughout the district. The only 2 that exist is my current house and the apartment complex that I lived in on Meringue.
Wow.
So to me, and you know, you indicated that I ran 4 years ago. As I've been going throughout the community, I'm just devastated to see more houses have been demolished, houses that are boarded up. And a lot of times, so I look at things from a different lens. I look at these houses and I say, oh my goodness, the foundation is intact. This is a beautiful brick home. Sure, the windows may be gone. There may not be a front door on it. Some of them have newer roofs. But when I look at those houses, I see potential. I don't see demolition.
All right. So, yes, that's All right. So I got a couple of things I want to say, but let me go on with a couple more questions real quick, and then we'll jump into. Listen, if you all have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type them in, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Now, listen, if you're on Facebook, do me a favor. StreamYard.com/Facebook. The link is in the description of this video. If you just click that link and give permission, real quick, it literally takes 15, no more than 20 seconds, and then come on back. Then that way we'll be able to see who's commenting, because as of now, what I have to do is I have to go over on the other computer to see who's commenting. But if you can do that real quick, that would be great. It just takes a couple of seconds. Just StreamYard.com/Facebook, give permission and come right on back. And then that way we'll be able to see your comments that you have. Okay. All right. So the next question is, what are your campaign priorities and your campaign values? Now, before you jump into that, now I know a lot of people have. I have a couple questions coming in. This may actually answer some of the questions, but yeah. So what are your campaign priorities and values? And then we'll. I got one more question, and then we'll jump into some audience questions.
Sure. So being a native Detroiter and, you know, seeing things change the way that I've seen them over the last 10 to 15 years, one of my greatest areas of focus is equitable development, making sure that we develop Detroit and revitalize Detroit so that it's mutually beneficial, so that our residents don't feel like they're always given and never receiving anything. So for me, that is making sure that we have affordable housing throughout the city, throughout our neighborhoods, because I've witnessed several people being displaced because our property values have gone up so much that the investors who own houses, or even, you know, homeowners, they say, okay, it's time for me to make this buck and run. And what that's doing is our rental rates have doubled in the last 4 years. And so I just indicated, you know, that a house sold for $270,000+ in my neighborhood. Where that becomes challenging is for a young person who may be starting out in their career, a senior who may be on a fixed income, African-American families who get redlined with financial institutions and just not being able to come to the table with a 20% down payment, or having the debt to income ratio that the financial institution is looking for them to have. So then they're not able to get a mortgage for $250,000. So it starts to allow gentrification to happen within our neighborhoods. And when I look at the fabric of Detroit, when I look at how I grew up in Detroit, I keep saying, if you can't live in Detroit as a low-income family, where can you live? Where can you go to live? And so that is number one for me. Also making sure that we develop community centers throughout our neighborhood. District 4 is the only district within the city that does not have one community center. That becomes difficult and problematic because one, our seniors nor our youth have anywhere to go indoors for positive recreational activities, for positive programming. So we start to look to other organizations to create that and to develop that. That's wonderful if faith-based organizations can come in, if nonprofit organizations can come in and help facilitate that. But it really helps as a grassroots nonprofit organization. It's beneficial for us to be able to go into a community center and say, talk to the people from the community. What is it that you all would like to see done? What is it that you need, right? So having access to one another from that perspective. So also making sure that small businesses receive the support that they need for them to be able to function within our community. One of the things that I saw when I worked for the Convention Bureau was we would take people on familiarization tours, and when we go through the neighborhood commercial, it was so blighted and so devastated. It gave people the impression that our residential neighborhoods were the same way, but they weren't. You'd have a blighted neighborhood corridor surrounded by beautiful homes that were intact and well maintained. So making sure that we have development that is for the residents that live in that community and small businesses that come from people in the community. That's all of those things are extremely important to me. One of the other things that I am really like hyper focused on, because I think it helps lead to gentrification, is making sure that we can address some infrastructure issues that we see throughout District 4, and I would say throughout the city of Detroit as well. So the city is now working on replacing lead service lines, the water lines that go to houses. They're doing it in a pilot. They're doing a pilot program. And Cornerstone Village is one of the areas where they're doing this pilot program. That's amazing. How do we continue to replace those lead service lines? Because we know what lead does to our children in high levels. So making sure that we address that. I would love to see the American Rescue Plan dollars to address those types of infrastructure issues so we don't have to keep coming back and dealing with it. We also have in the district, we have areas, and I'm starting to see and talk to people throughout the district, and they say this is district-wide, where we have backup basement issues, whether it's raw sewage or it is, water that's backing up into the basements. It's all unsanitary. It all creates potential health issues for the people who cannot deal with it, who cannot afford to actually address the issue, especially if it happens more than once. And so we're seeing more and more of that throughout the district, and we need to address that on a city level. I would love to see some infrastructure dollars going to that. Water affordability. A lot of people talk about how inexpensive water used to be and how the rates are just going astronomically, just going up.
Yeah.
That's something we seriously have to look into. And I have somebody on my team who's looking into how St. Louis is able to have a flat $40 a month water bill, how they actually fund that. So I'm looking into those things. And then, one of my other major areas of concern is just being accountable and having some level of transparency, making sure that I'm open and available to people for them to reach out to me, for me to reach out to them and let them know some of the issues and legislation that we are addressing as a council body, and getting their input, getting their knowing and understanding what it is that they're dealing with to be able to create or amend legislation that helps to make their lives a little easier.
Yeah. I think well, for me, I'll speak for myself. One of the things that impresses me most about any candidate is their accessibility. Now, I understand, when you're in certain positions, it can get overwhelming. And I'm not saying you have to take every single one of my calls, but at least show some type of interest in what I'm going through and the plight that I'm going
Feedback.
through.
Sure. Being there and acknowledging that you called.
Yes,
And,
definitely.
having some dialogue and feedback. And so what I want to share with people is that in District 4 specifically, and there's another district in the city that has a community advisory council, because there are some areas throughout the district that does not have a community organization, but people have concerns and they're trying to figure out how do they connect with the council person or all of their elected officials, because typically it is the neighborhoods or the areas that have an organized group of people that get the ear of our elected officials. But I think it's important to make sure that all residents feel heard and that they are heard and that their issues and concerns are being addressed.
Yeah, definitely. And we appreciate you for that for sure. So my last question, because I got a couple of comments and questions coming in here.
Yeah.
So you ran 4 years ago. Unfortunately, you didn't make it. And I just want to shoot some encouragement out there. There was a young lady that I had on the show that was running for state representative, Taylor Harrell, and she didn't win. I know she was discouraged, but listen, keep pressing. Latisha didn't make it in 4 years ago, but she didn't stop because she wants her voice to be heard. So the question is, what are you doing differently to help lead a successful campaign?
So thank you for the question. So 4 years ago, I received 42% of the vote. And although I didn't win, that for me was success. It was success because the incumbent had been in office for 8 years. And it said to me that, people appreciate the work that I do in the community and that they wanted to see me in that position. So 4 years ago, I felt like it was me, my husband, my son, and my siblings who came out on the weekend to go knock doors. So to see that level of success with the limitations that I had, it actually made me feel good, right?
Yeah.
And so what has changed this time around, it is an open seat, so the incumbent is not running again. And there have been so many community leaders throughout District 4 who have approached me and encouraged me, number one, to run, because I sat back and really had to think about it, because I've been volunteering for the last 7 years on a full-time basis. My husband takes care of the household, and I'm grateful for it because I enjoy doing the community work. What I feel is people have seen me in the community. They know my heart. They see that, I lead with compassion. I lead with empathy. I lead with integrity. And so many people reached out to me and said, Latisha, we really need you to run. I had to talk to my husband, and we had some long conversations about whether or not we were actually going to do it. And so it has been the encouragement of residents throughout the district. So many of them said, okay, Latisha, I want to help you get petitions signed. I want to help come knock doors. I'm going to donate money to you. It has really been a breath of fresh air. A total breath of fresh air, because when the community says it, it's going to happen. And I really do feel in my heart that I will be successful. And that I will be able to go and represent their voice. And I think that's what really stands out the most, is that people know that I will wholeheartedly represent them and their voice in City Hall.
Wow. That is awesome. Actually, you having your feet to the ground was actually how you met my wife. You didn't know where I lived. You were out passing out flyers, and she was in the car. I ran back in the house for something. And when I came out, she had this flyer in her house. I was like, I know her. And you were like next door. Right. I was like, hey, Latisha, you actually got a chance to meet my wife because you had your feet to the ground. So we are
Mhm.
definitely praying for your success. Voting is actually two months from today, right?
That's true.
August 3rd. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But can you just, before we jump into a couple of questions, there's a process for the absentee ballot, and I think that date is a little sooner. So can you just talk about that for a second?
Sure, sure. So because of the pandemic last year, majority or a lot of people were encouraged to vote via absentee.
Mhm.
And so as a result, those individuals who voted absentee last year during the national presidential election, they
Mhm.
are now receiving absentee applications in their mail.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I've seen it while I've been out at the doors. My husband and I actually received the application. So I do want to encourage anybody who still plans to vote absentee to complete that and make sure that you request a primary absentee ballot as well as a general absentee ballot,
Mm.
because the actual ballots will start to go out mid-June. They'll
Okay.
start to be mailed to individuals the middle of this month. And, a lot of people will take the time to fill that ballot out immediately. I hope that people will make sure they know the
Mhm.
candidates
Mm.
before they actually fill the ballot out. And I've always encouraged people to do that and not just focused on, an individual that they may have met when
Mhm.
there are so many other people in the race, but making sure that they understand who's in the race and that they are choosing the most qualified person that will represent their values.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Listen, everybody, when you get that absentee ballot, please make sure that you elect Latisha Johnson for City Council, Detroit City Council, District 4. Latisha Johnson is the name that will be on that ballot. So please make sure that you vote for her. You got a chance to hear a little bit of her heart today. And, I think it's awesome. It's great. My uncle is on. He said, this time you are running with God and you will win. Just keep the faith. All
Amen.
right.
I love it. Thank you, Uncle.
Yes. Yes, definitely. My mom made a comment. She said, I think that's great that you have programs that teach and help people to find themselves, because everyone is not looking for a handout. They just need some teaching and training to help them get on their feet.
I appreciate that comment because, we do the workshops because we want to introduce different areas, different careers to people. They may, join one of our workshops and say, oh, okay, that's not something I want to do. But you've had
Mhm.
an opportunity to explore that. But
Mm,
we also, as we continue to do the work, we're connecting with different organizations, different companies that are looking to hire. We have an upholstery shop that reached out to us and said, "We want to hire some of your students."
mhm,
So
mhm.
it's really becoming, something greater
Yeah.
every year.
Awesome. That is
Mhm.
awesome. My mom also said that community and activity centers are definitely needed for our young people to keep them busy, get them off the street.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, so let's go to a couple of the questions. Oh wow, I don't know if you know Arthur Williams. He used to work down at the Renaissance with me, and he moved
Yes.
on to bigger and better things. He said, "Good to see a fellow Kettering alumni doing good in the neighborhood. Letitia and I have a lot in common. He went to Burroughs, Kettering, and also worked in sales at Marriott when Letitia was at the Convention Bureau. Not only that, I used to see her in church at Third Hope." Third New Hope Baptist Church on the west side of Detroit. Letitia is a busy body because she was and is somebody that is always busy. I've always loved her. It kind of cut off there. Let's see if I could pull it up on the computer.
Thank you, Arthur.
Yes,
I didn't realize we had so
Arthur.
much in common. I didn't know he went to Burroughs.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He said, I've always loved her in hospitality and have witnessed her support of a city council member some years back. I wish you the best and we'll be rooting for you. Although I don't live in Detroit, you go, girl.
Thank you, Arthur. That's awesome. And listen,
Yes.
even for those who do not live in the city, you probably
Mhm.
know somebody who lives in District 4. So make sure you all help spread the word about my campaign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All righty. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay. Well, I'm gonna put this one up, but I'm gonna go back. This is Miss Sandy. She said she would do her best to get the answers for whatever your concerns are. Can't wait to get my yard sign. Yes, call her and she would get back with you. Love her. That is awesome. And
Thank
when you
you,
get
Sandy.
Miss Sandy's yard sign, make sure you get one for me and my wife and one for my mom.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
definitely,
I
definitely,
certainly
definitely,
will.
definitely.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for that support. That's truly
Absolutely.
appreciated. Um, when folks, I know the yard sign doesn't vote, and I know that you all will actually vote for me. But thank you for helping to spread the word about the campaign with that
Absolutely.
yard sign.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna go back up. And so this question is from Miss Sandy. She said, "Hey, Latisha, what are your plans for the residents on Dickerson, which is the street we live on? We need our streets fixed, which is ironically, this morning, I saw a truck outside. And because my wife works from home, and I was like, Lord, please don't let them start messing with the power lines because, if the internet goes out, that messes her up. But they were actually, we have two large potholes right in front of my house. When we pull out the driveway, we hit them every day, so I think they were filling those in. I don't know how much they did, but we need streets fixed, alleys clean, homes repaired, trees cut down, etc. So what is it that you would be able to implement to help us out in this area? And this doesn't just go for Dickerson. Miss Sandy is asking this question, but this goes for other streets in the district as well.
Yeah, so all of those are issues that the administration is dealing with. Let's connect and let's talk about how we can push that agenda forward. We know that there's over $800 million that's coming to the city from the federal government. And
Wow.
the city is having conversations around what neighbors want to see done with those dollars. So we can go and start now before I take office to make sure that the city is aware of these issues that need to be addressed. So definitely, I'm always wanting to make sure that residents come together and be a unified voice and go to say this is what we need, here's what's happening in our community, so we can hold people accountable to getting it done. Absolutely. So listen, I'll connect with all of you offline so we can start to make sure that the city knows and is aware of the issues that you're dealing with, because Miss Sandy and we talk quite frequently, and I know of some things that are going on Dickerson that she has some concerns about. So we'll definitely uplift those and raise those so we can get them addressed.
That is awesome. Our house, it was between four vacant houses. Ours right in the middle, two on each side. They tore two down and left two up. Someone did buy the one right next to us, and they're in the process of renovating that. But I know that lot on the other side where they tore the house down, it just gets all the shrubbery, everything just comes over in our yard. So thank God for my uncle, the one who commented, Uncle Neal. He came over and he helped me cut down a bunch of that stuff along the gate line and all in the front, so it'll look a lot better. So definitely thank God.
So we need to find out who actually owns that lot. If it's the Detroit Land Bank Authority, make sure that they're maintaining it, because they lean a lot on the residents, and residents aren't necessarily in a position to help maintain those lots. And if you wanted to maintain it, then maybe look into purchasing it and doing greater things in that lot. But it's great that your uncle does it, that you all help to maintain it. But listen, accountability is one of the things that I am really focused on, because we have city departments, we have people that are employed by those city departments who are responsible for doing just that. So we need to make sure everybody's doing their job and being responsible for their areas.
Absolutely. All righty. So this is my mother-in-law. She says, so what are the actual zip codes for those areas? And the next question is, what will the city council do to improve the neighborhoods? Now, before you answer that, I don't know if this is accurate, Latisha. I just pulled it up on Google. Let's see. This kind of looks like, can you see that?
No.
All right, let's see. Did it pop up?
I still see the question.
Okay, I think my browser may have blocked it. Oh, I didn't put it up. Okay, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
All righty. All right. So, is this accurate?
That is.
I just kind of pulled it up on Google.
That is accurate.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like District 4.
I can tell you the zip codes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Go ahead. Yep,
it's 48213, 48215, 48224, and a small portion of 48205.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. All right. I can remove this now. I didn't know if you knew the zip codes or not, so I want to pull that little map up there. But
and then she asked about
what will the council do to improve the neighborhoods?
Yeah, so I think we need to look throughout District 4 and have some serious conversations about different neighborhoods, because different neighborhoods are dealing with different things. There are some parts of District 4 that are just huge swaths of land that need a developer to come in to develop it. There are other areas that have beautiful homes that may be vacant, unoccupied, that are still salvageable. So I am a proponent of, so when Lavell was talking about the 4 houses, vacant houses by him, what I did in our neighborhood and really stress to people to do, and I'd be happy to lead this, is identifying who actually owns those houses. And holding those individuals accountable. So the city has a nuisance abatement program whereby if an individual owns a vacant house that is blighted, they'll put a large cardboard on there that says this house will be seized by the Detroit Land Bank Authority or the city if the property owner does not reach out to the city within 72 hours. That will help us to address some of the houses that are sitting vacant. I also think it's extremely important to make sure that we are doing code enforcement. One of the last things I want to see done is more houses being demolished. So if we are doing code enforcement and holding people accountable for their properties, then we are less likely to see that house end up on a demolition list, because then we can take possession of it as the city. But my focus is, if the Land Bank Authority takes possession of that house, that we sell that house, giving priority to owner occupants and not allowing investors and speculators to come in, grab up the house and sit on it and allow it to continue to decay, because that just perpetuates that whole issue. So if we can encourage owner occupancy, we will start to improve our neighborhoods. We will also begin to improve public safety, because we have occupied houses with eyes and ears within those houses that can, stay abreast of what's happening in the community, and we can start to communicate with one another to become that village again.
All right. All right. Okay. My mother-in-law had another question here. If elected, how will the city council address the plight of the homeless people in Detroit? And a follow-up, do the members of the council have to live in Detroit? That's a good question. Never thought about that.
So let me answer the last part of that first. Yes, all city council members are required to live in the city at least a year before they actually run for office. And if it is a district position, they are required to live within that district.
Okay.
So as it relates to the plight of homeless people, a lot of the work that I do with the nonprofit organization is really focused on addressing those things. So making sure that we have affordable housing throughout the city, making sure that we are providing skill building opportunities for people so that as we have jobs, we don't just say, here are jobs, and then people from the suburbs or anywhere come and get those jobs. We want those jobs to be filled with Detroiters, but we also have to make sure that they are prepared for employment. And so if we were seriously looking at the homeless population and creating opportunities for them, we would be focused on providing affordable housing for them and providing skill building opportunities, making sure that we have mental health available to them to address any issues, whether it's substance abuse or anything of that nature. But we have to address issues as a whole and not just say, okay, let's create some affordable housing, but then a person has other challenges that they have to overcome and we never address that. So I think it's important to help people to become homeowners, even through affordable housing, because then we begin to develop and build wealth within that home. Some people might think it's a little far-fetched for a homeless person, but I don't. I really don't think that it is. I think if we start to address people's individual issues, we'll see that we're addressing a lot of people's individual issues, but we just have to be intentional about being committed to the people and helping them to overcome any issues or challenges that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife and I went through the Dave Ramsey program, and I think if we all get that mindset of us getting out of debt, then it won't so much overcome us. And I actually have a gentleman on now. I have a question from him and a couple of comments. His name is Mr. David Mosley. He is he's a financial expert. We had him on the show last year. I'm trying to get him back on, but his schedule is so busy. But I definitely appreciate him. He works with the Dave Ramsey program, and he is absolutely excellent. And I'll put his information up also. But he asked this question here. He said, what would you do to help bring the city council together toward working together and supporting much needed change?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for putting that on my shoulders. That is one of the things that I do in the community. Even with starting Mecca, those are 3 neighborhoods that have individual identities, and folks were fighting tooth and nail because I wanted to bring them together. Wow. But it only made sense. So here is where I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that because we have 4 vacancies that will be on city council, that we are introducing new people who will be able and willing to come together. Not to say that the previous council couldn't, because I don't know the inner workings of, what happened previously. But I think it's important for us to lead as individuals. I think, when you add a human element to anything, you can have a conversation with somebody and we can all come together. Of course, we won't always agree on everything, but I think, being respectful, being mature about situations, and I think it's most important to be able to talk through different situations so that we understand one another. So when you add that human element, I think you can move mountains. So when I served on the Board of Zoning Appeals for the city of Detroit, representing District 4, I started to realize just how influential I became on that board. And it was really just understanding the issues and being able to articulate my side of things with other board members. So I think that has power within itself and can help to bring people together.
Yes, definitely. All right. Miss Sandy says, what would you do to address crime in the district? So, District 4, so a lot of crime going on. So what possibly could you do to,
Sure. Sure.
address that issue?
Absolutely. And I think, it's not just District 4, it's citywide, it's actually nationwide. So we were on our 5th Precinct Police Community Relations Council call yesterday evening, and it was shared that throughout the country, crime has increased. And, some folks talk about the pandemic and people being isolated and all of that. But definitely, crime has been an issue in Detroit for a number of years.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely important for us to start to show that we care about our citizens, to make sure that we provide productive opportunities for them to be able to do something with their time, something that's positive, something that they enjoy, something that's productive, and they won't have time to go out and commit crimes. So we need to make sure that those community centers exist throughout the city where our residents can have access to them. We need to make sure that we're listening to our residents and providing skill building programs for all of our residents. A lot of times people focus on the young people, but because we have been void of so many of these programs and community centers, we've missed generations of people to be able to offer them that support. So I think it's important to make sure that we offer that to anyone who is interested and who's willing to go through programs. And, just providing support as a village, as a community. I think all of those things will help to address crime.
Yes, definitely. There's a Christian comedian that I know. I don't know in person. I watch him and follow him, and he made a statement, and he was kind of dealing with the whole issue with the police and everything. And he said something. He doesn't live in Michigan. He lives somewhere, I don't know, Texas, California. So I'm not sure where. But I know he said a few years back, someone had complained about a burglary in his apartment complex, and the police actually burst into his apartment, put a gun up to his head.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't even the right one, but he made a statement. He's a very positive guy. And he said, I think one way to help out, and I think the reason I'm bringing this up is I think this will help out with crime in the area as well. If there was some type of community gathering, like maybe a picnic or a barbecue or something, where the police would get a chance to meet the citizens of the neighborhood, because you get this one-on-one. Now you get to talk to a police officer, not as a cop,
right,
but as a person. And I think that would help. I don't know. I just that thought popped in my head as you were talking.
Yeah. So we, with the nonprofit organization, we typically have an annual community gathering, and we've always invited the police to come out and to be able to connect with residents, just like you said. Now, one of the greatest things that we have in Detroit, but we need more of, is our neighborhood police officers. And when our neighborhood police officers live within our community, then they understand the culture of the community. They understand what we are okay with and what we're not okay with within the community. So when somebody calls and says, there's a kid playing basketball in the street, if our community says we're okay with that because we don't have a community center, then the neighborhood police officer is aware of that. He may go talk to the young person playing basketball in the street and encourage them to move it to a driveway or something of that nature, but making sure that they understand the culture and they know how to address young people within the community because they live in the community, because they come from the community.
Yes, definitely. All right. Looks like I got one more. My uncle said a lot of people are buying houses and fixing them up, which is one of his businesses. He has Neal Down Home Improvement, and when I say that man can fix anything, plumbing, electric, roofing, whatever it is you need. And I'm going to actually have him to be one of the sponsors for the show coming up soon.
Awesome.
But so he's asking, do they have a time limit? Is there
So
time limit on.
So
Yeah.
first, let me say we need to connect. I need to meet your uncle because
Yes.
we have a house over here that I'm trying to find a contractor to help us to get it together, and that the nonprofit organization owns.
Okay.
So yes, they are supposed to have a limit.
Mhm.
I know that the Detroit Land Bank Authority, if you're referring to their houses, they have been extremely lenient, primarily because of the pandemic, but also recognizing how long it takes to rehab these houses,
Mhm.
especially when you have to do a complete gut job of them.
Mhm.
We're seeing that we have a house that's about 600 square feet. And because of the pandemic and everybody now working on their homes, it's very difficult to get contractors to come out to do the work. So the land bank will extend the time as long as you're making progress. And so that's the key. Sometimes I think people may send in pictures of houses that are not theirs. And so they fool the land bank to think that they're actually doing the work. But so they are supposed to have the house rehab within 6 months.
Okay. All right. All righty. All righty. I got Mr. Mosley said Mrs. Johnson is the truth.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Awesome.
Mosley.
Yes, yes. He's actually in Flint, Michigan, but he knows a lot of people here in Detroit. He also said, great job. So informative. You will definitely bring positive change, continued blessings, and success.
Thank you
And
so much.
yes, and I was saving this for last. Actually, it was funny because my wife texted me to make sure that I didn't miss this comment from Mr. Mosley. But I texted her back. I said, I wanted to say this last so that you can give your information out. So he asked, how can people help? He says, your honesty and knowledge shine through. So how can people help you to get elected? What can we do to help you?
So, first and foremost, just having me here, helping to spread the word. So as I indicated, you don't have to live in District 4, you don't have to live in Detroit. But if you've ever lived in Detroit and you know somebody on the east side, spread the word. Please spread the word. Encourage people to go to my website. My website is latishajohnson.com. My website, you'll get a glimpse of who I am. Hopefully, having this discussion gave you a little bit more insight around who I am and the work that I've done in the community. But I do wholeheartedly believe that I will continue to be the person that I have been. I will not change who I am to appease anybody else. But my goal has always been to represent the voice of the people in the community and to make sure that I address needs of people in the community. So helping to spread the word. I do accept donations as well, and you definitely don't have to live in Detroit or on the east side to give a donation.
That's right.
You can do that on the website. And for those who'd like to join the team, you can make phone calls. You can go out and help knock doors with us. But you can sign up to do all of that on the website as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And if you all need to email, you can email info@latishajohnson.com. All right. My uncle said you got my vote. So we're going to need a lawn sign for him. My mother said, thank you for your transparency and honest answers. You got my vote, and I would definitely spread the word to get you voted in.
Thank you, Mother Neal.
Yes, my mother-in-law said, thank you for answering all of my questions. You definitely got my vote. I would like a lawn sign also.
That is so awesome. Thank you all so very much. Let me just give one other thing. For anyone else who might be interested in a lawn sign, they can text Latisha, my name, to the number 474747.
All right, hold on one second. Let me put that in here because people are gonna watch this on the replay.
Okay.
All right, hold on one second. Let me put this in. Okay, you said they can text
Latisha. To the number 474747.
All righty, let me put that in. All right, so several ways. You can go to the website. And on the website, you can sign up to help out. You can get more information about Latisha. And you can email info@latishajohnson.com or just text the name Latisha to 474747. Amen. And then you said what happens when they text that number?
When they text the number, it'll ask for them to confirm their name and address so that we can put a lawn sign in their yard.
Awesome. Excellent. All righty. All right. Listen, I appreciate you. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments here. Okay, we have Rose Jones is watching. She says community matters. We can't leave the community out of governing in our city. That is so true.
Very true. Very true. And, a lot of our communities are feeling left out. And so that's why it's extremely important that we elect a representative from the community who understands the needs and the issues of our residents.
Yes, definitely. So thank you, Ms. Rose, for the comment, and thank you all. And Latisha, I think I got everything in. I'm just going back. Okay, yeah. So listen, I'm gonna let you just kind of have any last words that you would like to say, and then I'm gonna let you go.
Well, I definitely appreciate you and appreciate your time, appreciate the audience being here, and thank you so much for the support. I just want to, remind folks that when we all get out to vote, especially in the primary, because the primary is so important to make sure that your candidate that you'd like to see elevated progresses to the general election. Thank you so very much for your time, for this opportunity, and look forward to being the next city council representative for District 4 and making sure that I stay connected with the residents and that we collectively move our communities forward, because I know that we can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Latisha, you definitely have our vote. I just actually texted to make sure that we get our lawn sign.
Okay, awesome.
And yeah, so I'll make sure everyone does that. And again, I appreciate you. Thank God for you. We're praying for you and we're supporting you. And you definitely have my vote and my wife's vote and my mom's vote and my mother-in-law's vote and my uncle's vote. So yes, definitely.
I love it. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too.
Not ready. All right, everybody, listen, you have heard from Mrs. Latisha Johnson. She is running for City Council, Detroit City Council District 4. So please make sure that you check out her website, latishajohnson.com. Very professional website. You can go there and get pretty much any information that you need there. And you can sign up to help out if you are so inclined. If you need to email to get more information, or maybe you have a question and you're watching this on the replay, info@latishajohnson.com. And make sure that you text Latisha to 474747. Really easy number to remember. 474747. Just text the name Latisha to that number and you will get a message. And I have the message here. It says, awesome. Text your first and last name along with your address and we'll have a lawn sign in your yard within the week. So definitely make sure that you do that. All right. Miss Sandy says, spread the word, everybody. And listen, I appreciate my audience for sure. Thank God for all of you all tuning in. And also, don't forget, everyone, to, you can get your tickets, virtual tickets for tomorrow or Saturday for No More Cycles 2 Consequences. And you can just email crystalelamproductions@gmail.com to get your tickets for that play. Listen, let me give you a couple more announcements. I'm going to let you all go. All right. So next week, Thursday, June 10th, make sure you tune in. We have Ronald and Stephanie Jordan. Listen, they went through the Dave Ramsey program and alleviated $145,000 worth of debt. They were on the Dave Ramsey show, and they did their debt-free scream. Amen. And within, I'm thinking maybe about a year, my wife and I are going to be joining them, but they're going to be on the show tomorrow talking about, how they got debt-free, what they had to sacrifice, and now how they're living without having any debt at all. The following week, June 17th, is the Thursday before Father's Day. Listen, don't forget about Father's Day. But I have my brother Demetrius Early. Now, you all met his wife on the first episode of March. She's a coach and a trainer, and so is he. He's they call him the dad coach. The dad coach. So we're going to have him on talking about Father's Day. Listen, don't downplay Father's Day. Listen, right now, and I know I don't want to, I'm going to bring this up on the show, but we have a calendar from a very large pet organization, animal rescue organization. And for the month of May, that Sunday, they have Mother's Day listed. But when you flip over to June, they don't have Father's Day listed. I'm like, what? Why? Now I know some people may say, "Oh, that's nothing." But look, don't count the fathers out. All right. Listen, so we're going to have the dad coach on the show on June 17th, Demetrius Early, and we're going to be talking about his amazing testimony and what he's doing now and how he can help you. And then finally, the last Thursday of this month is going to be another Defense Thursdays. Remember the last Thursday of last month, I did it on Is the Bible Really the Word of God? Well, this is going to be a little series. So June is going to be, how did we get our Bible? And I had to bring in some help, y'all, on this one. So you all are familiar with Elder Michael Holloway, my big brother, and also Minister Desmond Ingram. They're going to be coming on Defense Thursdays along with me. Now, because their schedules are so busy, we're actually going to pre-record the show, but I'm going to show it on June 24th, but I will be on live. So if you have any questions, I'll still be interacting with you all. So make sure you tune in. And then the following month for Defense Thursdays, I'm going to bring them back. And we're going to be talking about how we got the various translations, like the NIV, the King James, all of these various translations of the Bible. There's so much. We could talk about the Bible for the rest of the year, so I have them coming on to help me. So again, I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank God for you all. Listen, let me take this name off so I can put this other information up here. Just in case anyone is so inclined and would like to bless Neal Down Productions, you can do so through PayPal. Just at Neal Down Productions, or the email, which is at Neal Down Productions, the number 1 at gmail.com. But all of that information is on the website. If you go to nealdownproductions.com, you'll see a donation tab on there. But you can also give through Cash App, and it's $ Neal Down Pro. $ Neal Down Pro. So if you would like to donate to Neal Down Productions, we would very, very much appreciate it. And we will use those finances for any upcoming shows that we have. And we do have some things planned as the pandemic kind of dwindles down. We have some things in the works. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate you all. If you enjoyed the show, share it out. Hit that share button on Facebook. Hit that share button on YouTube as well. Send this to somebody, because again, if you may not live in Detroit, but you may know someone that lives in Detroit District 4. Help get Latisha Johnson elected. But also send this episode to people so they'll know what they can ask their representatives for their various districts in whatever city or state they live in. Again, thank you all so much. We truly appreciate each and every one of you and all the support that you give. And we'll see you next time on the show.
Yeah.